Day 508 of doing a LeetCode problem every day until I get a job. All right, y'all, we're back again another day, another LeetCode problem where we're doing daily LeetCode problems. And today we have question number 165, compare version numbers. The difficulty level is medium, but don't worry because you already know we're going to keep the solution as simple and easy to understand as possible. But before we get started, y'all, don't forget to like, hype, subscribe, comment, and share. And if you need any new Apple AirPods, go in and check out that link in the description so you can get you some. Now let's see what the question says. Given two version strings, version 1 and version 2, compare them. A version string consists of revisions separated by dots. The value of the revision is its integer conversion, ignoring leading zeros. To compare version strings, compare their version values in left to right order. If one of the version strings has fewer revisions, treat the missing revision value as 0. Return the following. If version 1 is less than version 2, return -1. If version 1 is greater than version 2, return 1. Otherwise, return 0. All right, y'all, so I can understand how that may be a little bit hard to understand. So let's go ahead and take a look at these examples just to make sure that we are doing this question correctly. So in example 1, we have an input version 1 equals the string 1.2, version 2 equals the string 1.10. The output is -1. Explanation says version 1 second revision is 2, version 2 second revision is 10. 2 is less than 10, so version 1 is less than 2. And when version 1 is less than 2, then we return -1. That's why we return -1 here. So once again, it says a version is a string consisting of revisions separated by dots. The value of each revision is the integer conversion, ignoring leading zeros. So we're looking at elements on this side of the first dot, right? Or this side of the dot in this example. So in this case, we have 2 on this side of the dot and we have 10 on this side of the dot. Since 2 is less than 10, 10, we return -1. Boom, just like it tells us to do right here. So let's take a look at example 2 where it might get a little bit more tricky. So in example 2, we have our input version 1 equals a string 1.01 and version 2 equals a string 1.001. The output is 0. Explanation says ignoring leading zeros, both 0, 1 and 0, 0, 1 represent the same integer 1. So once again, it says up here that we are ignoring leading zeros. So in this case, on this side of the dot, once again, we have a 0, 1. And on this side of the dot over here, we have a 0, 0, 1. But once again, we're ignoring these leading zeros. Leading zeros meaning they come before the integer. Boom. So since we're ignoring them, that means they're both just 1, 1.1, which is the same thing. So our output is 0 because neither version is greater than the other after ignoring the leading zeros. So let's take a look at example 3 where it's another trick. In example 3, we have input is version 1, the string 1.0, and version 2 is the string 1.0.0.0. The output is 0. Explanation says version 1 has less revisions, which means every missing revision are treated as 0. So in this case, once again, a revision is after the dot, right? The revisions are separated by dots. Boom. So in this case, this has 2 extra revisions right here, right? And but since this doesn't have the same amount of revisions, then every extra revision counts as 0. So it's pretty much the same since these revisions are 0. Now, if one of these revisions would have had a 1 or an element or a number other than 0, then it would have been a little bit different. But since these 2 revisions are 0, and since this doesn't have the same amount of revisions, that means all the extra revisions over here will be treated as 0 as well. Our output will still be 0 because, once again, they will still end up equaling each other. One will not be greater than the other, so we're going to return 0. So I hope that makes sense to y'all. And now that we understand the question, let's get into the fun part. the actual solution. Y'all, solution is not that difficult at all. So let's get into it. Now, the first thing we need to do is we need to split both version strings by the period or the dot into arrays of string components. So to do that, come right here, we call declare a variable, we call it str1 for short for string 1, and we'll set that equal to version. Sorry, y'all, that should say version 1 dot split, open up the parentheses, separator colon, then we're going to open up the quotation marks and put the period. So that's where we are going to split and separate every time we see this period. And then we are going to say dot map, open up the brackets, and we're going to say string, open up the parentheses, $0, and once again this is going to split the array into string components for version 1. We need to do the same thing for version 2, so we could say declare another variable, this time str2, and we're going to set this equal to version 2. Then we're going to do the same thing. Oh, this is a split, not split, sorry y'all. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to say split, open up the parentheses, separator colon, open up the quotation marks, dot, then we're going to say dot map, open up the brackets, and we're going to say string, open up the parentheses, $0. So we do that again. Now we need to create an array of zeros to pad the shorter version so both arrays have equal length. So for that, we're going to declare a constant, call it let new r. We're going to set that equal to an array, open up the parentheses, repeating, colon, open up the quotation marks, put 0 inside, then we're going to come outside that, say comma, say count, colon, abs, open up the parentheses, we're going to say str1 dot count minus str2 dot count, just like that. Boom, then we can come underneath this, and if version 1 has fewer components, we're going to append zeros to match version 2's length. So we can say if str1 dot count is less than str2 dot count, then we can open up the brackets and we're going to say str1 plus equals new r, or the new array that we just created. And then else, if version 2 has fewer components, we're going to append the zeros to match version 1's length. So then we come right here and we'll say else if str1 dot count is greater than str2 dot count, then we'll open up the brackets and we're going to say str2 plus equals new r. Boom. Now we're going to compare each corresponding component as integers. So we're going to come underneath this. We're going to say for I in 0 dot dot less str1 dot count. We're going to open up the brackets, and if a component of version 1 is smaller, then version 1 is considered lower. So we're going to say if int, open up the parentheses, str1 square bracket I, come outside the parentheses, put the exclamation point because it's optional, and we're going to say is greater than int, open up the parentheses, str2 square bracket I. Once again, come outside the parentheses, put the exclamation point. Then we're going to open up the brackets and return, return 1. Then we could come right here. Oh, sorry, let's bring this down for the if, because we're going to say, let me clean this up for y'all. Boom, sorry, y'all. Return 1. Then we'll come right here, and we're going to say else if int, open up the parentheses, str1 square bracket I, come outside the parentheses, put the exclamation point, is greater than int, open up the parentheses, str2 square bracket I, come outside of that, put the parentheses, open up the brackets, then we're going to return 1. Sorry, y'all, this first return should be -1, not 1. Sorry about that. Then if all components are equal, then the versions are equal, so we could return 0. So to handle that, come outside of this for loop, and we could just say return 0. Boom, y'all. So that should be all that she wrote. Let's give it a run before we submit it. Make sure it works properly. Okay, we have an error. No exact matches the call split. Just a moment, y'all. Let me see. Oh, so we have a typo. Separator. Sorry about that, y'all. Let's run it again. See if that does the trick. Wrong answer. So if we have the wrong answer, that means the math isn't mathing. So let's give me a moment while I check this math. One moment, y'all. Let's see. Oh, right here, y'all. This should be a less than sign. So now let's run it. Hopefully that does the trick, and it did. It's accepted. So let's go ahead and submit it. Make sure it's still accepted after we submit it. Ooh, look at that, y'all. 0 milliseconds beats 100% of users. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to see, y'all. So with that being said, make sure you get one more look at the code. This is the top part. Don't forget this return 0 at the bottom. And yeah, y'all, with that being said, I hope y'all learned something today, and I hope to see y'all here tomorrow for another day, another LeetCode problem. See y'all then.